Couldn't come up with a better title. How do you describe plugging into God? And a year later, I became a member of that church. But Affirmations was, I used it, especially in the next year. My husband got very sick and passed within a year. And I had just learned about Affirmations, not knowing it as well as I know them now, but it really helped me keep me centered, going through things, even as a novice. So even though I didn't really understand affirmations that well, God knew affirmations and could read my heart. And so I've always felt that, and to learn that it was a wonderful way of praying made it all the better, because I felt I was getting more prayer time in. Because I can affirm, I think you'll understand, hopefully, understand how to prevent that. After some of the suggestions, I found a lot of suggestions. Everybody has an idea of how to use affirmations or where they come from. So what I wanted to do is just go over some basic principles of affirmations first before we get into, I picked a technique that Eric Butterworth has taught in the past that I want to go through more in detail. But let's just go over defining affirmations and how that works within. One of the things I learned early on in my unity journey was that affirmations are based on the law of attraction. Thoughts we hold in our mind will attract the same kind of actions or activity back to you, positive and negative, if you believe in what you're affirming. Now that's what belief is. You activate that power of attraction. There's some movies and documentaries that have been out. I've seen them on TV on some of the research done on the power of attraction, and it is a real thing. So thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts held in our mind. Again, we're sending out that energy, whether you're even just thinking it, even though you might not be forming an affirmation, you're sending out thoughts, so you're going to be attracting them back. A lot of times, coming again from clinical chaplaincy instead of pulpit ministry, one of the things I try to do is help people think about what they really wanted and how can they make the situation better, that they come up with that affirmation, their concept of what would make it better for them. But rather than looking at what's all going wrong, my granddaughter is going to be an agent, we found out, at one of the 3-letter agencies in the federal government. Well, one of the departments that she had choice of going to was called the Department of War. Now, we've heard of the Department of War in the federal government. And I thought, oh, she can't go to the Department of War. Why can't we have the Department of Reconciliation? It's what are we putting out? That's just a side effect. But whatever we're thinking, again, we're attracting it. If we're thinking about our illness, what are we attracting? If we're thinking about our poverty, what are we attracting? So we want to realize that you're affirming that. So be conscious of your thinking, of your thoughts, of what you're attracting to you. An affirmation, Charles Fillmore, I have to use Charles Fillmore, is a positive statement of truth. So he's cut out a lot of our affirming, our thoughts held in our mind, because they're not necessarily positive, are they? Okay. So a positive statement of truth. Well, what is truth? Truth is, again, Charles Phillips, and he was telling them he was going to prepare a place for them so that they could come to where he was later. And Charles Fillmore, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And if you know me, you know the Father also. Charles Fillmore says, that place that Jesus prepared for each of us is our Christ consciousness. I had a discussion with that at St. John's Towers, where I live, with a lady at lunch the other day about that one. She couldn't understand what I was saying. She asked me what I was going to talk about Sunday. I told her part of it. And so we didn't talk about it anymore. But the Christ within that's in us, that's what we plug into when we go within. When we center, we're plugging into the Christ within. Our identity, we have chosen to use our identity to plug in to God. God is, I am. Our identity is plugging in to the Christ within. That's where the power is. When you affirm or plug in to that, anything is possible. Your dreams, your desires, what's beckoning in your heart is possible. Especially when it comes when you're centered. Again, sometimes we can do affirmations and strive for things that have been triggered by outer circumstances. But when you allow that which comes to you as desires, as dreams, you're plugging into anything. You're plugging into limitlessness for helping. Conceiving an idea might be the idea that you want to make happen, might be God that's put it in you, because it's time for you to grow spiritually. So you're going to have to stretch a little bit, because we're going to do some more definitions here somewhere. That when you start with an affirmation, there aren't necessarily any facts going to support you. You know, this is coming from within you. You don't know how you're going to increase your income or what kind of a job right away. You just know you have to make a change. So working with your inner Christ, working with that plug-in point, it's not going to make God work for you. God is working for you. You just had to plug in to let that power into you. It's already there. You're not pushing God's buttons to help you. It's already there for you to use and explore. And we're going to talk about how to do that. Y'all with me? Okay. Demonstrations. When we work with our desires, they're not in dreams. It's not magic. It's law. God works with laws. And if you are open and are working with God, it's based on law. It is not whimsical. Oh, it might be funny at times. We make some, when you work on some things, you have to laugh at yourself and laugh at situations, but you're growing spiritually. And that's good. That's good. God isn't giving you the power in the moment. It is already in you. And it continues to flow whether or not you're aware of it. That's why it's good to touch base again, to plug in and remember that it's in process. Awaken daily and set your day. what you want to do and know it can be done. Just start out open with God, just center. It doesn't take a long time. It doesn't have to be a long meditation or anything, but just remember who you are and what you have on your side to help you grow this day and help you fulfill we fulfill our purpose every day. Ralph Waldo Trine says this: stay in tune with the infinite. Your desires and dreams that are within you come from the Christ within you. Remember that. It's not just your weird, ideas coming around. There's a reason for it. Nobody else can dream your dreams. You can't dream anybody else's dreams or desires. They can only come from you, that which you feel. They are for your spiritual growth, growing your spiritual consciousness, to allow you to become more aware of your spiritual self and purpose. Now, see, is my slide up there? Yeah, okay. This is Eric Butterworth. Okay, we're all on the same page. You're plugged in, okay? Okay, now, you've got something that you want to have happen in your life. How do we make that real? Well, part of it is, what are you thinking about? Can you define what you're thinking about? You don't want to go to an airplane counter and they say, well, where you want to go? And you say, I'm not sure. I sort of want this to happen and that to happen. But, you got to know where you're headed. So starting to define what that means, what your dream or your realization is, start defining it. And Eric Butterworth he says he uses this personally. He says he does a projected diary. He says that I pretend that it's tomorrow night and I'm writing down what happened that day, yet tomorrow. In other words, you project ahead and then you're as detailed as you dare to be, okay? And projecting. Start defining how you want this God stuff coming in to help move our substance around and help you make correct decisions along the path of your desire or your demonstration. So just remember that, be specific. Times, dates, try that. Put that in. He says, don't be afraid of that. Set yourself some goals. God can live up to them, and it will help us order things as we go, step by step by step. You also must envision it. See it happening, feeling it happen, dream about it. Keep it coming. Smell it, touch it, feel it. Whatever it is, be vivid. Be vivid in what you want. Treasure mapping came along when the details, when you try to do details. You know what treasure mapping is? You cut out pictures and write affirmations, put them on a board, and you have it there to remind you of exactly what your goal is. And you can look at it every day or whatever. Well, I got to tell you a funny story. When I was at Unity Village in ministerial school, one of our instructors told this story. She and her husband both were ministers. And she said when they were working with affirmations, they needed a better car. And she said, so they decided that their ideal was, back then we had colors in cars. I mean, you could say any color car, pink, yellow, cars. Well, they wanted a yellow Cadillac. It didn't have to be brand new. It just had to be in good shape, So they they found pictures of yellow Cadillac and everything, and had their affirmations and all the trips they were going to take with it. And she said, we even found some new car smell perfume. So, they lived it and they found it. It came into their lives. The only problem with that was that it only had 2 wheels. They had to buy 2 wheels and And they looked at their picture. It only had 2 wheels. So, you know, there are some funny things. Make sure I learned to say, I've learned through the years to say, this is what I'm imagining and doing. This or something better, you know, just to leave it open. Okay, I'm moving on here. So creating your affirmation. Do what you dream about doing or experiencing or becoming. If you can take any aspect of that dream, you know, experience it in the little bits to bring it into reality for you, to keep you focused. The mental equivalent, see it as already being done. That's Emmett Fox said that. The mental equivalent, see it like it's already being done. Expect it. Okay. But there may be some tough times, and sometimes there can be pain when you're growing spiritually because you don't want to let go of some things you need to let go of. It could be bad habits, bad attitudes. It could be, I don't know, but you'll know them when they come. But just trust the flow. Trust the flow. Okay. Remember, what you can conceive, you can achieve. Believe. We're on B now. An affirmation is a statement of belief. You agree? I'm not sure. As opposed to apparent facts. There may be nothing supporting your dream. Nothing other than that feeling, especially in your inner space. You know, you just love to have that happen. An affirmation is a statement of truth, not a statement of facts. So don't look around for something to help hold you up, except God, because it won't be there. So don't let that defeat you before you get started. That's what belief is all about. Moving forward without any evidence. That's also faith. And I wanted to let you know that in belief, we sometimes waver because beliefs are in our subconscious mind. And a lot of times that'll influence our positive thinking if we don't notice them and find them. So if we find negative beliefs or things that are holding us back, use your denials. Deny that they have any power over you to obtain your goal. You want to clean out that subconscious as much as you can and affirm your goal. Lowell Fillmore, who was one of Charles and Myrtle's sons, says it this way. He said, belief is a statement of truth within the situation. We do not worry about how our food is going to be digested, nor should we worry about how our affirmation of truth is going to work out in our life. We trust that our body's going to be doing, and God is working through that. So why can't we trust our thinking in the same way? He was a very outdoorsy person, very natural, and I love some of his writings. In Hebrews, now I want to talk a little bit about moving our belief to faith. And it will happen as you start feeling that goal coming in. Hebrews says, Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Right? No evidence, but we're going to believe in it. Charles Fillmore calls it the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape the substance. Again, I'll read that. The perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape the substance around your dream, around your goal. That's what faith is about. And sometimes you have to dig a little deeper and do a little work to move that belief into faith so you will not quit. I want you to think when you're in this belief part, when things are trying to work against what you want, or if they are, I have faith in God, not in what's in front of you, okay? I have faith in God. Stay plugged in. Let that faith let that power strengthen your faith. Now, your faith in God cannot exceed the faith in yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to want this for yourself. You see how that works? He can only fill what you've got space for. And if you're closed, if you don't open up to love everywhere, because faith is based on love. It doesn't have negativity in it. And if you want it to work, you've got to love yourself through it all. Love yourself. Listen to what you're saying inside yourself. That's how you'll know what you believe. Listen to yourself think. Or look at your actions. How are you acting to increase? Let your faith, your belief, consent to your own unfolding, growing spiritually. You will change. You can't stay the same. Growth is necessary. Oh dear. Achieve. I'll move on. But you get the point? Dare it. Just go for it, And that's what achieve is. Go for it. Move your feet. No matter what, even if you don't feel the support out here, know you're supported inside. Don't just know it. Go in. Take a deep breath. I have faith in God's working through. Help me work through this. Because again, God can only work through us what we're able to open up to. It's not that, he has to. The power flows through us. So it's up to us to open and receive. Just begin. Become activated. Get started. Go to meet your good. Get excited about it. Again, be specific in where you're going, and you may see some movement towards it, or all of a sudden it could happen all at once. And then you go, wow. The more you practice this, you're going to get demonstrations all over the place, and it's going to encourage you to trust more and more. Strengthen that faith, even in harder times, in a bigger. Again, Myrtle, had TB. Took her 2 years, but she disciplined herself, went through her body, asked forgiveness from all her organs to heal her. And God can only work through us. She had always been a sickly child, so this forgiveness was a big step. From all her she lived into her 90s. Charles also lived into his 90s. He saw what happened to Myrtle, and so he spent an hour, he was in real estate in Kansas City, and he put an hour in the afternoons just to sit. He said, it's a wonder anything happened. He didn't know what. And he said he had chronic back pain because he had fallen off a wagon when he was a boy and broke his hip. So he wore an iron brace because the leg stopped growing. He got into the growth plate, and so the leg stopped growing when he was a boy and was like 4 or 5 inches shorter than his adult leg. So he had that brace, and he always had back pain. But the back pain started going away. And he said, I was just sitting there trying to keep my mind clear. But he had seen it demonstrated by his wife. And when he died, both legs were the same length. So I just want you to know, you are unlimited. Whatever you can absorb, open up to, you can achieve. You can achieve. I just have one little short reading. If one advances confidently in visions of their dreams and endeavors to live the life that you imagine, they will meet the success uncommon, unexpected, in the common hours with invisible boundaries, and new universal and liberal laws will be established, or the old laws will be interrupted and expanded in your favor. And those of us who do this will live with the license of a higher order of being, because our growth will not be limited. Our growth will not be limited. There are no barriers. You are unlimited. Hope that helps.